Game 4, Indiana this past Saturday. The Heat coming back from 11 points down to beat the Pacers 101-93. And aside from LeBron, the major story, the bounce back from the worst playoff game of his career by Dwyane Wade. He's 2 of 13, only 5 points in Game 3. Battier. James Battier hits from downtown, and he has been struggling with that shot. 2 for 19 in the 4 games, and 2 of 12 from three-point land.
And that's huge for Miami, because the way Indiana has been guarding Miami, they're trying to pack the paint. The Heat have to get more perimeter shooting just to loosen up that defense.
Hill is wide open for 3, just to beat the shot clock. Pacers able to keep it alive. This is Granger. Danny Granger hits the 3.
Granger has made 23 three-pointers now in the playoffs. That's more than any other player playing at this point. And he hasn't been consistent with his shot overall percentage-wise, but he's gotten more and more aggressive as this series has gone on.
Oh, nice crossover by Wade, and he drew the foul. Tied at 3, just underway here in Miami. George Hill handling, played by Dwyane Wade. This is David West.
This is the matchup that Indiana must take advantage of. West going against a much smaller Battier.
They swing it, 1 on the shot clock. George with a step back for 3, just did get it off. Here's Wade with James down at the baseline. It goes to Chalmers. This is on the short pop. James gets it out. Battier with a long three-pointer.
You see the difference that Roy Hibbert makes defensively for Indiana. When he's in the paint, he really gives LeBron something to think about. He forces him to either pull up for a floater or make a pass.
Paul George cuts the Heat lead down to 1. Paul George named to the USA Select Team. The Select Team has practiced against the U.S. Olympic team and preparing for the Olympics in London this summer. That's a great compliment to Paul George. Churiaf off the nice pass. The setup from Chalmers.
Well, Marv, it seems like Miami's half-court offense has just been so much sharper as LeBron forces a turnover from Granger. Battier drew a charge from Roy Hibbert midway through the 3rd quarter. That was Hibbert's 4th foul, and it changed the entire course of the game. It forced Hibbert to the bench. That loosened up that defense.
Here's Chalmers with the runner. Mario Chalmers, who had his best game in the loss in Game 3. And Paul George lost the dribble. 4 minutes gone by, and Miami in front 10-5. West, tough angle as Battier played him well. George. LeBron is on it. 2-on-1 with Wade. Goes all the way. Timeout called by Indiana head coach Frank Vogel.
LeBron James said that if it wasn't for the performance of Udonis Haslem in the last game, this series would not be even. Haslem said that Coach Boxscore told him not to worry about the spacing on the floor. He told him to be aggressive, look for his shot. The results, guys, were 14 points, 8 of those in the 4th quarter. The Heat will need his production tonight, but so far, guys, Shane Battier getting it done.
Battier opening up by hitting those 2 3-pointers. Udonis Haslem had played only 7 minutes in the previous game in Game 3. You could see the bandage over the eye as we have that shot of Haslem. West has missed his first 4 shots in the 4th quarter the other day, taking an offensive foul from Lou Amundsen as LeBron rims out. Haslem suffered a cut above his right eye and needed 9 stitches. They actually wanted him to come out immediately, but he said no. Going to stay in. Nice move on the jump hook by Hibbert.
First basket for Hibbert. You just mentioned David West 0 for 4. So Indiana has yet to establish an inside presence. And as we talked about, Mark, that's the key to the game for this Pacer club.
Wade tried to split through and lost it. 3-on-1 led by George and broken up by Battier. Wade with that hesitation dribble.
What a lazy pass from Paul George. You have to convert on a 3-on-1.
Dwyane Wade does convert on the runner.
That was inexcusable. Of a 3-on-1 and a left-handed, one-handed pass from George off the dribble. And all he had to do was make a simple jump stop and feed his teammate on the wing.
Nice move by Hibbert, and he is fouled to come on. Hibbert a 71% free throw shooter, an all-star.
You know, all this help and recover on Wade and LeBron and pick and roll situations on the perimeter. It takes a lot out of a big guy.
Hibbert had that huge game 3 of the 19 points, 18 rebounds, 5 blocked shots.
And the rebounds so key. In fact, Marv, whichever club has won the rebound battle in this series has won each game.
And on that subject, Joel Anthony able to keep it alive on that offensive board. Beautiful feed from LeBron James for Joel Anthony.
Beautiful feed is right. Did you see how high LeBron jumped? Looked like he was going to try to lay it in, and then when Hibbert went up, Anthony found the passing lane.
Hill met on a switch. West not able to get going. And a foul. It's on the Heat. Just under 5.5 remaining in this first quarter. Paul George puts it in play. Miami jumping in front 16-8 here in the early moments. Granger gets inside. Shot was blocked. Punched out. Here comes Chalmers. Hill is back, and Chalmers will pull it back. Battier feeling it for 3. Yes! That's his third from downtown. Shane Battier coming in 2 of 12 from beyond that three-point line. And Steve, usually his specialty are from those short corners. He's hitting it from all angles.
This reminds me a little bit of that Laker-Denver series. Remember, the Lakers for the first 6 games of that series could not buy a three-pointer. And finally in Game 7, they broke loose, made 10 of them in that game. I think that's kind of the tendency in some of these playoffs. The pressure mounts, you miss for a few games, and finally you let loose and you break free. That's what's happened with Battier.
Hill, good move off the dribble. Able to knock it down over Chalmers. It's a 19-10 lead for the Heat.
Indiana just has to withstand the storm here. You know, this is they had to know Miami was going to come out strong, so they've got to just keep it close here for the first quarter and stay within range.
Battier not able to hit on the runner. Shane Battier at the other end has done a good job defensively on David West. Gives away about, what, 25 pounds on West. Here's Hibbert. Hill able to rescue. They have a new shot clock.
A lot of very poor passes coming from the Pacers as Granger knocks down the 3 from the wing. And Frank Vogel has talked a lot about the importance of passing and ball movement. The ball movement is great, but it has to come on sharp passes. They're throwing a lot of one-hand flings that are really kind of disrupting the flow of their offense. Great sign for Eric Spoelstra.
LeBron goes to the driving hook. That's his second field goal. He has 4 points. Mike Miller, who has not been able to get into it because of some lower back issues, is checked in for the Heat. Granger fires for 3. That's his third from downtown. So the Pacers have not shot well, just 6 of 18. Miami came out on fire, and yet it's just a 5-point lead.
Similar to Game 4, Marv, only in reverse. The Pacers came out on fire. I think they had a 7-point lead at the end of 1. It felt like it should have been 16 or 20. They just missed a lot of open shots.
Shot clock to 5. James to the step back and hits.
Well, you live with that if you're Frank Vogel. I mean, Danny Granger all over him. No ball movement in the possession. So James makes a spectacular shot.
Hibbert finding the open man. Good recovery by Miller. Shot clock to 3. Hibbert lost it. Good save by the diving Miller. Here's Norris Cole, the rookie from Cleveland State, who was rejected by Hibbert, but able to get it back. Battier, another three-point attempt. Collison gets it down to West. Good job by Battier, but that time he made contact and picks up the foul. Amundsen, one of those guys who will scrap. He's all over the floor. And if you're not on his team, he's annoying.
That's right.
You love him as a teammate.
Yeah, ask Haslem and those 9 stitches that he got the other night. That came from Amundsen's elbow.
Shot clock to 5. Collison for Hansbrough. Crowd wanted to travel. The tip is missed by Amundsen and a foul on Miami. Thursday night, and if there is a Game 7 back here in Miami on Saturday, he actually changed the release on the second shot.
Yeah, no confidence with that one.
James Jones on the floor for the first time for the Heat. LeBron giving a look at the Hansbrough. And here is James coming up short.
Great job by Hansbrough. LeBron sort of scoffed at him when he picked him up on that cross match, but Hansbrough stayed with him, and then Amundsen came over to challenge the shot.
Coming up on 1 minute remaining in this first quarter. Barbosa putting moves on Miller, gets the shot off. It was contested, but he hits.
Well, this is the Pacers' energy lineup, Mark. So Hansbrough and Amundsen will provide the dirty work. The scoring will come from Collison and Barbosa, particularly on penetration, like we saw there. Granger also will look for his shot with this lineup.
Miller lost it. And Amundsen created that turnover. Collison, offensive foul. It is a charge called on Darren Collison. Pacers do have a foul to give. Granger back on James. LeBron lost the dribble. He thought he was pushed. Barbosa. Yes, nice move as he was able to cut inside, and it's a 3-point lead for Miami.
Well, Miami lost that offensive flow that they showed early. All that cutting, all that weak side action, it's gone now. The ball now being dominated by LeBron James. Everyone else standing around.
Final seconds of the quarter. Here's LeBron for 3, which has not been his forte. Second quarter is underway. Good shooting first quarter for Miami. 11 of 18 from the field, and there's Lou Amundsen cutting it down to a 4-point Miami lead. Despite the poor shooting by the Pacers, they're right there down by 4. And Udonis Haslem on the floor for the first time, receiving an ovation from the crowd as he checked in at the start of this second quarter, coming off that strong game. Wade is fouled. Oh, it counts, and the foul. Dwyane Wade talking about the game he had in Indianapolis, game 3, as he completes the 3-point play, and speaking in general about some of his struggles in the series, saying the rim at times appeared to be the size of a Cheerio, and other games it opens up as if it's the ocean. Do you ever have that feeling, Steve?
No question. I usually use the word thimble instead of Cheerios.
And Dante Jones, who just came on and has not been getting the minutes in this series, able to hit the 3 to cut it to a 4-point Miami lead.
I'll tell you though, Marv, I really admire what Wade did in game 4. Just the misery of what he was facing the previous couple games as he goes to the rim and gets fouled. But it's so difficult. Wade looks like he got hit pretty hard. But
his Hansbrough came over his back and made contact with the neck, and LeBron James is appealing to the officials, looking for a flagrant call.
I think the officials are discussing that right now. The crowd just saw the replay. You hear their reaction in the background. Eric Spoelstra with his hands up in the air, looking at the ref, saying, "Come on now."
Wade was shaken up, and now makes his way to the free throw line. So 2 shots and possession off the call of the flagrant.
Well, I started to talk about the way Wade responded in game 4. Here you take a look at the rule. Unnecessary contact committed by a player. Flagrant 2 would be unnecessary and excessive. Arguably, that could have been a flagrant 2, the way Hansbrough went after him. But I just think, you know, the way you respond in the playoffs is so important. And Wade was criticized like he's never been criticized before after Game 3. He went after his coach Spoelstra in the timeout. They got into the verbal exchange. He had a horrible game.
Looks like, yeah, right over the right eye. He took that cut.
Same spot as Haslem.
Yeah.
Maybe he could get one of these stickers that they've handed out to the crowd today. They've handed out Band-Aids to people in the crowd that say UD 40. And people have put them on their foreheads. There you see one right there. I think Wade needs one of those now.
The Heat marketing department getting right on it.
They actually stitched it up after the game because they wouldn't have had time to get him back on the floor. Good thing for Miami as Wade scores again. But Haslem with those 4 big baskets at the end of Game 4 all came after the cut.
8 points for Dwyane Wade. Miami up by 7 with 2 minutes gone by. Second quarter. Barbosa.
Get back. Got to get back.
Wade putting a move on Dante Jones. Rebounded by Amundsen.
The problem with this smaller lineup for Indiana as Collison gets fouled by Wade is it's very susceptible in transition.
That foul committed by Wade, his second. James Jones on Dante Jones. George with the back door for Hansbrough took a shot. And
that may be a flagrant 2.
Yeah, it was Haslem taking out some of the frustration that he faced off the cut that was suffered the other night. And things are getting very physical.
Well, they've been physical throughout this series, but now it's getting ugly. I think because they called the flagrant 1 on Hansbrough, they just wanted to even it out.
And if you call a flagrant 1, it cannot be reviewed. You have to call it a flagrant 2 and then review it, and you can downgrade it to a flagrant 1. So they can't take a look at it on the replay. It can be looked at afterwards by the NBA office. Stu Jackson and company could look at it, and they could change it to a flagrant 2, but it's not going to affect this game.
No, but my guess is that both of these guys will be getting fined after everything is sorted out.
West putting a move on Anthony. That's his first field goal. He had missed his previous 5 shots. There were words exchanged between those two, and Howard tried to get it. Stevenson, good play by Chalmers to draw the foul on Paul George.
Well, I think it's a sign of where this series is. You know, it started out, I felt like, you know, where this has gotten now, Marv, it's very serious. It's a sign that Miami actually takes Indiana seriously. I don't think they did the first couple of games of the series. Now they know they're in for a fight, literally a fight, and these teams getting after it.
Miami now shooting the bonus for last 8 minutes of this first half as Indiana went over early. Nice move by West. Beautifully done as he goes right at Joel Anthony.
It's interesting. West looks more comfortable going against another power forward than he did against Battier. Sometimes when you play against a smaller player like West was with Battier, you get a little out of sorts. You try to do too much.
Wade off balance, punched out. Good play by Haslem, gets it to Chalmers. Chalmers working the screen. Tried an impossible shot, but it's Haslem with the save and able to put it home.
Great activity from Haslem, and that's what it's going to take from Miami. Weak side activity, but also work on the offensive glass.
Collison had the wide open lane, not able to convert. Here's Wade on the run. West is back. Wade all the way. Points for Dwyane Wade.
What a bizarre sequence. Nobody met Collison at the rim. He was almost so open that he couldn't believe it. And by blowing the layup, it led to transition the other way for Wade.
Indiana down by 7. Hansbrough with room.
That's his shot.
You mentioned earlier the problems that Dwyane Wade had over the first 3 games as the ball's knocked away from him, able to recover. Shot clock running down. Wade rebounded by Granger. 3-on-1, 4-on-1 developing. Granger rejected by Anthony. And I would think depends on what job might be available as West is able to score again. So after missing his first 5 shots, he's showing signs. Back comes Chalmers. Haslem showing confidence in that shot. We were talking earlier with Eric Spoelstra how they changed Haslem's role in terms of the pick and roll, where he'll now pick and pop.
Well, all season long, he's been a roller to the rim because Chris Bosh has been the pop man, usually with their 2 bigs. One pops out, one goes to the rim. But with Bosh out, Haslem has gone back to the pop man.
Whoa! Whoa. Hibbert with the shot clock running down, had to fire it up and hits a 3. Just under 3.5 remaining in this first half. Chalmers put the speed on. Nice setup, and Anthony missed. And the follow is good. But wait a moment. Apparently it is waved off a foul before the shot attempt that is on Hill. And check in with Ernie Johnson back in our Atlanta studios. All right, thank you, Ernie. 3-point lead for the Heat as we come up on 3 minutes remaining in this first half. Granger with a deep 3, way off.
I don't understand that possession one bit. You've got West and Hibbert on the floor. That's where your advantage lies. Indiana stands around and then launches a 28-footer.
Miller, wide open. West on the rebound.
It's like Danny Granger is down in front of the Heat bench. I think he may have rolled an ankle after that 3-point try. He might have landed on the defender's foot.
Indiana in possession, down by 3 as we come up on 2.5 to play in the first half.
Got to go inside to Hibbert and West. That's your advantage.
Barbosa fires a 3.
Looks like Miami may have been in a zone, and maybe that's why Indiana is struggling to get the ball inside, but they've got to get some movement. Nice play from Barbosa there.
Frank Vogel has a 3-guard alignment. Hill, Jones, and Barbosa.
A lot of standing again for Miami.
So Hill defending on James. James pokes it back out. Another possession. James for 3. That's the second 3-pointer of the night. He's coming just 1 of 11 from beyond the 3-point line.
And Miami with a 22-17 advantage on the boards. Norm, we talked about it. The team that's won the rebounding battle has won every single game, and you can see why. There, extra possessions leading to good shots in a close matched series.
Indiana has one here. They took game 2 here in Miami. Nice move by Hill as he banks it home. Hill beating Chalmers off the dribble. 44-40, Miami, final minute, first half.
And Mark, we talked about Hibbert's impact on the series. It's at both ends. He's providing such good protection at the rim that Wade and James are really backing away and shooting floaters.
Programming reminder, undefeated American Timothy Bradley, as Miami does have a foul to give. Wade continues to have his difficulties at the line. It's a 5-point Miami lead. Down to 35 seconds to go in this first half. West met by Anthony and Battier. Bad pass, picked off by LeBron. Look out, here comes James. Put a little on that one.
He did. I don't even know if that was a dunk. He just sort of threw it in. But meanwhile, for Indiana, Frank Vogel has talked about the importance of beating Miami with the pass. trying to move their defense around. The problem is his team has had a very poor passing first half. They're just flinging the ball around.
2-second differential between the game clock and shot clock. Hill for 3. James is on it. Here comes James to Wade. Back to James. At the buzzer. That'll count. Miami shooting, as you mentioned, 53% on 19 of 36 from the field. The big question, the status of Danny Granger, who suffered that sprained left ankle late in the first half. For more on Granger, let's go to Cheryl.
Well, Marvelous and Steve, at first, Granger was listed as questionable to return. As we saw him warming up, he said that the ankle was a little bit tight, but he's going to try to give it a go, guys.
In the backcourt, Battier back on West. West now triple team, gets it out for George. Missed on a 3 and rebounded by Chalmers.
Yeah, Granger is huge for this team, Marv, as Battier knocks down another 3 from the corner. But Granger's ankle is of utmost importance for his team. He's the one who guards LeBron most of the minutes. He's also their best three-point shooter.
Battier with his 4th from downtown. He's at 4 of 5 after he had struggled over the first 4 games. This is Granger getting it up, and Danny Granger, who led the Pacers during the regular season, averaging just under 19 a game.
When they take the lead into the 4th, they play looser. They play more up-tempo, more their style. So I think this is a big third quarter for the Pacers.
In effect, you're saying that this is a Miami team, and even if they move forward, as LeBron fires one up and draws the foul. Here at home, do you feel that the pressure gets to Miami? There's been so much talk about LeBron James not effectively closing games or giving up the ball.
I do. In fact, I think it's not just for Miami. I think a lot of teams at home in the playoffs feel that pressure a little bit more. You're supposed to win. You can feel the anxiety of 20,000 people in the building. When you're on the road, you tend to be a little looser. You play a little faster. You think about Memphis losing that game 7 at home, where they just couldn't execute at all, got no flow to their game. And with all the scrutiny that Miami has received over the years, the last couple seasons, as Hibbert scores, there's no doubt that they feel that extra heat, so to speak.
Oh, good.
Just thought I'd throw that out there for you.
Miami with a 14-5 run. They lead now by 11. Wade had it slapped away.
That last possession, Mark, first time we've really seen Indiana execute and get the ball inside. Miami's done a nice job fronting the post there. You see with Turioff, and Hill takes advantage when the post is fronted like it was there. It gives the guard an angle along the baseline, and George Hill found it.
Miami now up by 9. We're early third quarter. Marv Albert with Steve Kerr and Cheryl Miller from American Airlines Arena in South Florida. James off the lead pass from Turioff.
West spot. You got to be in the middle of the lane. If they throw it over the top, then you recover to Battier, but be in help position first.
West once again getting inside, but not able to hit. He's now 3 of 9 from the field. And James fouled by Granger, who grabbed him, and then Granger came up hobbling and went down. So Dante Jones will see extended minutes here tonight. James lining up that three-point shot. George, one-handed by Chalmers, pops it down to Wade. Wade on the run. It counts, and the foul.
And that's Wade at his best.
He'll take it off the front of the rim. Wade has hit off at the line. 4 of 8 here tonight. 59-45, Miami looking to take a 3-2 lead in this best of 7 with game 6 back in Indianapolis Thursday night. West met by the double and foul before the shot attempt.
And he gets catch the ball.
Hibbert is blocked by Turioff. James in the open floor. Beautiful peg to Wade.
He's been phenomenal in this series. I thought in a weird way, the focus on Dwyane Wade for a couple games kind of took the pressure off of LeBron, and he relaxed and just played as West gets into the lane, finally getting a hoop.
Wade met by Hill. Wade feeling the contact. It counts, and the foul. Third time tonight that Dwyane Wade will go to the line with an and one. But you mentioned Tim Duncan, but you go back and you have to think Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics, one of the incredible bank shot artists of all time.
Scottie Pippen too liked to use the glass.
That pass picked off. Wade flips it down beautifully. Wade to James. They are running on all cylinders here tonight. West over Battier, yes. David West getting off slowly, missed his first 5 shots. He's now hit 5 of his last 6.
But Battier's done a terrific job on him, and what that's done, remember early in the series, LeBron James was spending a lot of time on West, who picks up a foul here.
Battier to the line for the first time. You could get Indiana Pacers and Miami Heat playoff gear. It is a 17-point Miami lead. George was hit.
So they're going to have to defend and force some turnovers themselves.
Last year, he was the 10th selection overall. This year, averaged 12 points a game. Started all 66 games in this compressed season.
Much improved with his jump shot, ball handling ability. A guy with a lot more confidence now in his second season.
Chalmers, who has played well. He's hit 2 of 4 from the field, but the surprising number, 10 rebounds for Mario Chalmers. That's a new career high, be it regular season or playoffs.
And a 31-23 advantage for Miami on the glass.
West. See 3 Miami players chasing that loose ball.
Once again, Battier leaving West in an uncomfortable position. It's amazing just what Battier's been able to do just with his positioning, cutting off the angles. David West has not looked in rhythm against Battier all night.
James once again went with the driving hook. You've seen that a couple of times tonight. Dante Jones lost the handle, but he was fouled in Indiana.
Well, you know, the Pacers are enjoying being on national TV. You know, everybody knows you kind of control the TNT schedule.
Of course. And I take it as a shot. Well, but if he wants to use motivational tools, throwing in the television package, it's fine. It's okay.
There's no question the team has been discouraged the second half, especially when Granger went out. Miami has all the momentum. The Pacers just have to hang in there, defend, and try to climb back in.
Norris Cole has just checked in. Eric Spoelstra making some moves as LeBron is able to follow up. Mike Miller returns. 17-point advantage for Miami as they break it open. This all started late in the first half after Indiana had come within 2. Bad pass, but it's handled by George. Shot clock to 3. West on a step back. Miller reaching for the rebound, lost his shoe.
And he's going to toss it to the side and play the possession in his sock. This can't end well, Marv.
Here is Battier, and now Miller with the one shoe has to race back.
Shoeless Mike.
Try to cover Barbosa, which is tough under normal conditions.
Barbosa calling to Hill, saying, I got a guy with one shoe. Throw me the ball.
Barbosa not able to hit on a 3. Have you ever lost a shoe while broadcasting?
I have not, but I'll tell you one thing, as Eric Spoelstra calls a timeout, if I were Mike Miller, I would have just put it on and let the team play 4-on-5 offensively.
The Heat with a 17-point lead. It was 40-38 late in the first half. And since then, Indiana has managed to hit only 5 of their last 21 shots.
Well, it gives Miami credit for its stifling defense. Meanwhile, Collison comes up with a steal.
He slowed down looking for the foul. Instead, James came up with the block. Nice pass. Cole. Basket won't count. A foul committed.
No question. I mean, he's their leader. You know, this is a very young team. Granger's been around. I think he's the longest tenured pacer.
Larry Bird, who's not enjoying this one. No. Barbosa with the handoff instead of taking all the way.
Well, he could have passed it earlier, and George would have had a layup. But Barbosa drove all the way to the other side of the hoop, and now a bad perimeter shot. So Indiana just all out of whack.
But an Indiana team that went 42-24 in the regular season, 3rd in the East, strong finish. In that final month, they won 12 of their last 15. They knock off Orlando in 5 in the first round. Oh, LeBron with a bank. We've seen the entire repertoire from the combination of James and Wade. 26 for LeBron James, 11 of 18 from the field. Dwyane Wade 7 of 14 for 18 points. Collison finally knocks one down for the Pacers.
Well, this was kind of a carbon copy of what happened in the second half of Game 4. When you let James and Wade break loose and they can play free and easy and have fun out here, they're unstoppable. You've got to keep them in the half court and make them uncomfortable, but they have been anything but here tonight.
James challenging West at a hard foul, and there could be fine, suspension, any combination thereof. They could up it to a flagrant 2.
I think that part's automatic. This was arguably just as dangerous. I know, Haslem doesn't have the prior history of the World Peace does, but I'm guessing he's suspended for the next game.
Collison rejected by Anthony. Barbosa with 1/10 of a second remaining in the quarter. That's a 2-pointer, had a foot on the line. Opening minute, 4th quarter. Collison and Hill in the backcourt. Should say Collison and Barbosa at the guards. And with the shot clock down to 1. Miami back in possession.
And the lack of execution continues for Indiana as Wade gets fouled, going all the way to the hole.
At the line.
He's kind of a streaky shooter in general, Marv. He has a very flat shot, flat release. And so he shoots kind of a line drive, and you're a little more susceptible to bad spells when you don't have much arc on your shot.
He did have that one excellent shooting game at the free throw line. That was game 1 against the Pacers. Hit 13 of 14 from the stripe. Nice move by Wade, and he scores.
He's found it again. The free throws may not be going, but everything else working for Dwyane Wade. 8 for 15 from the floor tonight as Hansbrough turns the ball over.
Cole able to split his way through and puts it home. 81-57 Miami. Collison played by Cole. George, it counts, and the foul.
Wade and James offensively and their potential. It's the defense. And I think any team this deep in the playoffs has to have the ability to make 4 or 5 stops in a row at crucial times during the game. We've seen it with the Spurs. We've seen it with Oklahoma City. That's why these teams are here.
Wade going right at George on the post-up move. Wade has been unstoppable. 9 of 16, 23 points. Oh, a hard foul as George took the hit from Chalmers.
By game 4, you can't stand each other. It just gets old playing the same guy over and over again. And, you know, the pressure mounts and the scrutiny from the media and the fans has you on edge. We saw it with Wade earlier in the series. You know, there's so much pressure and stress. And then you see these guys over and over again. Same plays over and over again. Same matchups. And it just wears on you.
Wade looking for Cole on that pass. We're early fourth. The Heat with an 83-61 lead. As they are looking to go up 3 games to 2 in this best of 7 game 6 in Indiana on Thursday night. George knocks down a 3. 29-31.
The deepest team in the NBA, best shooting team, best passing team.
Hansbrough able to knock it down, and the big 3 has played so well. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, they are very deep. And then you look at Oklahoma City with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and James Harden.
No, there's stars all over the floor, explosiveness. Oh, speaking of which, Wade gets fouled.
It is embarrassing because it's like being with a rock star.
You know what we're in? We're on the air in a blowout. We're searching right now.
LeBron James has checked back in. Only 4 minutes gone by in this fourth quarter. Wade applauding for himself as he hits the free throws. And Miami now leads 85-66. Wade and James have 34 of Miami's last 44 points. Amundsen back 10. Here comes James. See how LeBron surveys the floor as he's able to bring it across. And then nice pass to Haslem.
His team can extend the lead so he can get some rest for Wade and LeBron.
Nice play by Dante Jones. And then the rejection by Wade on Hansbrough.
And a little extra something coming from Wade.
You know, when you look back in NBA history and you look at Dwyane Wade, who is listed at 6'4", as Amundsen is able to take it to the rim.
We were here for game 2 when the Pacers came back, won that game, even the series. Then they blew out Miami in game 3. Anthony scoring there. Sometimes in the playoffs, it's a good thing to get challenged and to feel threatened. And you know, Miami had 2 days to stew on that blowout game 3 loss. 2 days in their hotel in Indianapolis, and you can tell they've got the right approach now. They've got the edge. They've got what Greg Popovich calls the appropriate fear and respect for their opponent. And they're a different team now from what we saw in game 2.
James looking to put a move on Hansbrough, and then shoots over him and hits. 30 points for LeBron James, and Hansbrough is hacked. Earlier was Danny Granger went down with a sprained left ankle.
Well, and they'll have basically about 48 hours to heal, to get treatment. Boston, how about the defense they played in the fourth quarter last night against Philadelphia? Just shutting down the Sixer offense.
And how about Brandon Bass, who erupted at the offensive end?
I just love these 7-game formats, Marv, as Anthony gets free underneath for a hoop. You go through a 7-game series that's really well contested, like both of these Eastern Conference series that we're seeing. And just the changes in momentum, the scrutiny from the media, the tension, the stress, the swings back and forth. And it's just amazing how things just can turn, you know, on a play, on a moment, maybe in a couple minutes. And it feels like they've turned here, but Indiana will have a chance to try to turn it back around in game 6.
Well, these are 2 consecutive, as Haslem is able to drill it, 2 consecutive strong games by Miami after trailing 2 games to 1. Well, the Pacers have been outscored 54-32 since that injury suffered by Granger.
Well, the Pacers are not an explosive team. They're not going to play well from behind. They need to control the tempo. They need to keep James and Wade locked up in the half court. And they did a pretty decent job of that until the final 2 minutes of the second quarter. And that's when the game got away from them. And that's what they're going to have to fix going into game 6 as Wade pulls it on now with the 3. Well, Indiana's going to have to find a way to get their game back.
Dwyane Wade has certainly been able to get his game back after the struggles earlier in the series. And now Dwyane will take a seat and receives a standing ovation.
And LeBron James holds up #1 to the fans, meaning one more game to finish off this series.
James and Wade sit down. LeBron with 30 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. Wade with 28 points, 10 of 17 shooting. Substitutions for both teams. Terrell Harris along with Juwan Howard, Dexter Pittman now on the floor. Lance Stevenson has checked in for the Pacers. Second-year man from Cincinnati, who we talked about earlier. This is Harris getting it down low. Pittman pops it out. Nice ball movement. Howard able to knock down the jumper. Juwan Howard.
In terms of angles or whatever it was, but that's it's important to have guys like that on the roster.
Terrell Harris, a rookie from Oklahoma State, second-round pick last year. Here's Jones for 3. James Jones. The Heat with a blowout here against Indiana. But the major concern for the Pacers, Jones for 3. Got tripped up, and Dante Jones hurt his shoulder. With 15 seconds to play. So Dante Jones hurt his shoulder. Stevenson just took a shot. You have the sprained ankles of most importance suffered by West and Granger, and a standing ovation for the Miami Heat as they end up shooting 61%. They fall 1 point off their all-time postseason high for most points with 115.
I felt good today. I was in a groove, and I'm going to let the game come to me. So, no question, this was a total team effort, but it's good for me to get 2 games in a row like this.
Yeah, let's talk about the offense. First of all, it just started to click from the very beginning with Shane Battier knocking down those 3.
But Shane came out very aggressive. You know, when the ball started going in for him, we know that's a great thing because we need the floor spread. And, you know, once that started happening, myself and LeBron was able to get in the paint, able to penetrate and, you know, make some shots. But our shooters making shots, the floor gets open.
Yeah, tonight's game is no indication on how this series has gone. It's been physical, it's been tough. So just how is game 6 going to pan out? I can see a scar right here already forming on you.
Yeah, I got a little scar. But game 6 is going to be physical, man. We got to understand that, you know, this team has a lot of pride. They're going to come up. I mean, their crowd going to be ready. So they're going to come out with a lot of energy. We got to withstand their first hit, their first attack, and still be standing. And I think we're ready for it, but we'll see.
You better get that Neosporin on that, all right?
Yeah, I'll go get some ice or something, too.
All right. Thanks a lot, D. Wade.